Hey class, I want to go over your first in-class writing assignment so you have a better idea on what I was looking for, and maybe it will help answer some more of your questions in further detail for those of you who may have received a lower grade than what you had expected. So what I want to do first is I want to go over a sample one of an A paper in the class. I went ahead and I have covered the student's name and their grade, but this was an A paper. So for Chick-fil-A, for the Chick-fil-A in-class writing assignment, you were to write a case analysis regarding the CEO, Dan Cathy's comments regarding his beliefs on same-sex marriage. So I want to go over a few things with you. Now, in this case, this student wrote a pretty good problem statement. They wrote Chick-fil-A CEO Dan Cathy generated a massive negative response when he publicly voiced his support. Sorry, the writing is a little small. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little. Publicly voiced his support for the biblical definition of marriage. By him exercising his feelings towards opposing marriage of the same sex, it has affected the company's business revenue flow. So right there you can see that the problem here is that the revenue has been affected. And at the same time, activists' threats are working to diminish the company's image and its value. So you can see in this problem statement that not only is the revenue diminishing, but also the activists, their threats are working to diminish the company's brand, their image, and the values. So you can see here with this problem statement, I get a good idea of what the problem at hand is. Now the purpose and objective. So Chick-fil-A needs to find a way to bypass the issue and reverse the detrimental effects on the business's revenue. They also need to satisfy the demands of activists in order to uphold the company's reputation. So they're saying here what they need to do. They're not discussing any of their solutions or the recommended solution, but they're just stating the purpose and the objective. In this case, I would have liked a bit more detail as to why this purpose and objective would occur, just giving me a better understanding of supporting their thoughts and opinions with a little bit more concrete evidence. And then the student goes on and discusses two of the solutions provided. The first solution, the CEO of Chick-fil-A should consider being less vocal about his skewed views towards the belief that marriage should be only between a man and a woman. Freedom of speech is encouraged, however, one should know when not to say something because it may affect others with opposing views. One advantage to this would be that it would take the heat and spotlight off of Chick-fil-A for the time being, and it would help with the hit that the company has taken in regards to their business's revenue. So here they've provided a solution. They've also provided what the pro is, how it would help. And then they go on and the student discusses what the con would be. So a disadvantage to this solution would be that Chick-fil-A customers would still have a negative stance towards the company due to Cathy's statement. So going back up to the problem, they are tying this in up here, how the activists are working to diminish the company's image and its values. So they're saying right here that this solution, excuse me, this solution here would not really help fix this problem that they're describing here, but it can help fix other things. Then they go on and they discuss another solution. Chick-fil-A can stop donating to anti-gay groups. Its beliefs do not need to be made reassured of by donating to groups that support them. It would help with the practices that the activists are working to stop, which are funding that go towards anti-gay groups. An advantage to this would be that the company can still stand by what they believe in while catering to the activists' demands. So again, they've talked about how this is going to help, and then they go into talking about a disadvantage. A disadvantage would be the public's opinion for the company's history of donations made to the anti-gay groups. So then the student goes on and discusses the recommended solution. So the solution that would better help the company with their recent allegations would be solution number 2. So very clear, they let you know which solution they are going to move forward with. Solution number 2, and it's easy to depict 1 from 2 here. Then they go on and they bring an example, and this helps support their reasoning because it's happened to another company before. Similar to Microsoft's issue back in 2005 when a problem with Microsoft signing the petition to support gay marriage, an activist opposed their stance and the petition was revoked by Microsoft. By going with solution 2, Chick-fil-A can still stand firmly behind their beliefs. The only thing that they would be doing is to stop funds from going into these anti-gay groups. So they're really providing a solution here and giving an example of a previous situation, almost like in, for those of you who may be familiar with litigation in a courtroom, if a lawyer brings up a previous case that a judge has ruled for or against, they can use that in their favor, saying, hey, a judge has ruled against this. It almost gives that credibility, whereas in this, they're talking about Microsoft giving them credibility. I did want a little bit more info on how this will help in the long run. This will help support their idea. Now, their action statement: in order to stop the incoming attacks from activists and to bring Chick-fil-A's company revenues back towards their original standing, it is suggested that the company stop being vocal with their stance towards marriage. So they're letting me know this is what they need to do in order to move forward. In addition, they also need to stop funding the anti-gay groups in order to ease relations with activists. By following this, they're going to be able to improve the company's revenue flow along with stopping defamation to their company's reputation. So they're saying here in their action statements that, going back up to the problem, not only is this going to help the business revenue, but it's also going to help the brand image as well. So it ties back into the problem statement. The only thing that they could have done differently for the action statement was that they needed a timeline. You don't have to provide a specific timeline, but in order to provide a good timeline to give the reader an idea, they could have said here, immediately within the next week, Chick-fil-A needs to do this, this, and this. Then within the next 2 to 3 months, they need to start pulling away from the funding of the anti-gay groups in order to ease relations with activists. So it's giving me a timeline of when they need to complete things by. Whereas right now, they don't have a timeline, which is why they were deducted some points. And then also, how do you measure the results? Well, how do you know this is going to work? You need to provide something in your action statement showing how to measure the results. Now, for some of you in your graded assignments, I went in ahead and I told you to see certain steps in the case shred. Well, let's go back to titanium under week 2. You could see up here we're under week 2. You have your 5 steps case analysis, which is a quick brief overview of what it is about and shows the formatting. And then the case analysis shred discusses these items in detail. So I told you to see certain steps. I believe there's 10 steps in this shred, which discuss certain things. So if maybe your problem statement wasn't where it needed to be, and I told you something to work on, and I may have said, reference step 3, you could see step 3 here, specifically state the business problems. This will help you have a better idea on how to state the problems. Remember, we went over this in class. I believe it was during week 2. So if you had something wrong with maybe your purpose and objective, I may have told you to see step 4, which talks about how to specify the objectives. So each one of these steps gives you details on what you need to do. So for even the recommended solution, if I said see step 8, you could see here, step 8, it says choose the best solution or recommendation. In this case, the action statement, which is step 9, I discussed need a timeline and how do you measure results. So you could see here that they need to identify the required specific actions, a timeline, resources, personnel, impact on an organization, and a way to measure the results. So this student discussed how this is going to impact the organization. But in this case, I wanted to see how you're going to measure the results. So please make sure to go over this case analysis shred. Look at the comments that I've given to you. Again, if you did not receive the grade you thought you would have gotten, don't worry. You're going to get better with your writing as long as you implement the comments that I made for you. Remember, these comments you need to apply to your next in-class writing assignment, which is going to be your second one moving forward. As long as you apply these comments and your writing gets better, most likely your grade is going to increase. Now, if you got somewhere in the 60s or 70s, don't be too concerned because your entire class grade is going to be worth 1,000 points. So it's not like this is something that will determine if you're going to pass the class or not. But if you see that you had a lot of comments and you were in the 60s or 70s, I would really suggest implementing those comments, studying them, and how you can use them moving forward in your next in-class writing assignment. If you were in the 80s, you did a really good job, especially for your first in-class writing assignment. And of course, if you were in the 90s, you probably had a few comments here and there. Make sure to consider those moving forward as well. So again, please don't be concerned. This is only your first in-class writing assignment. I'm confident that each of you will get better as the semester goes on and your grades will increase for your in-class writing assignment. So again, if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to contact me. You can email me, you can call me, or you can even text message me. All my information is up here as well. Or if you would like, since our next class is going to be an online, and then we have our live class with another in-class writing assignment, if you want to go over your actual in-class writing assignment, then we can go over it over the phone if you would like. But either way, any questions whatsoever, please give me a call, and I wish you all the best of luck moving forward.